Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, I will introduce myself to you. My name is Diana, but you can call me Rose. I am from Tadris class English 3, semester 2. On this occasion, I wanna talking about micro and macro. But we want to know how about linguistic. What's the meaning linguistic? Okay, first one, linguistic is scientific study that examines language. This linguistic term comes from the Latin language, namely lingua, which means language. Next, linguistic practical model. Structuralists, which when related to linguistic, will refer to the theory of language analysis approaches, which illustrates that the linguistic item structure. Ferdinand de Saussure is known as the father of modern structural linguistics, arguing that every element that exists in language is determined by how it relates to other elements. Principles of modern linguistics. 1. Linguistics is descriptive, not perspective. 2. Spoken language purity. 3. Synchronization and diachronic description of the language. 4. All bases are the same. 5. Grammatic and systematic relation of language, of linguistic. Next, okay, we want to talking about microlinguistic. What about microlinguistic? 1. Microlinguistic have phonetic is a part assigned in linguistics that investigates or also students about a language sound created by humans without having to see the function of the sound. Namely, is a diverter from the meaning in language or lingua. This phonetic science investigates sound from the point of view of speech or parallel. On the other hand, phonology is a specific based on phonetic and student the phonetic system. 2. Phonology. Phonology is science of the vocabulary of language sounds. We can say phonemes and their distribution. Phonology is defined as the study of language that student language sounds produced by human speech thoughts. The field of phonological study is the sound of language, namely, as the smallest unit of speech with a combination of sounds that form sibilates. Next, morphology. Morphology, or science of words, one is a branch of linguistics that identifies the basic units of language, namely as grammatical units. This morphology student about the relevance of the form of the word as well as the effect of the change in the form of words and a class and the meaning of the word. It can also be said that this morphology study that inserts of the form of a word and also the function of change in the form of a word, be it a grammatical function or semantic function. Next, syntax. In linguistics, syntax from Greek, namely syn, the meaning together, and taxis, the meaning agreement, is a sign of the principle and rules. Is a sign of the principle and rules of being able to make sentence in natural language. Apart from these rules, the syntax Word is also used to be obli or can directly refer to the rules and principles that cover sentence structure in any language. The last, semantic, derived from Greek semantikos, which means important. Given thing from the word sema, is a branch of linguistics that study the meaning or meaning implied or connected in a language and code, or also all the other types of representation. In other words, this semantic is a learning about a meaning. This semantic is also usually exercised with two other aspects such as syntax. Syntax is the formation of complex symbols from similar symbols and also pragmatic, namely the grammatical use of symbols by communities in certain contexts. Okay, next we will talking about macro. 1. General or theoretical linguistics. 3 is to determine universal principle for study language and to describe the general feature of language. 2. Constructive linguistics concerns upon the difference between language. Its findings are often applied in the context of language teaching. 3. Comparative linguistic studies different language looking for similar characters. This language may have common historical origin talk. The main emphasis of the analysis is usually placed on the structural choice competence between language under investigation. 4. Historical linguistic analysis, the development of language in time, registering the change that have taken place. 5. Applied linguistics is concerned with the application of linguistic theory and their findings in solving various language problems, mostly in the teaching of foreign language, studying language disorders, in translation, lexicography, and stylistic. Next, social linguistics study the relationship between language and society, taking into consideration standard and non-standard form of language, regional and social varieties with the reference to such concepts as ethnic, social status, sex, age, and age. Next, physical linguistics is a branch of linguistics which study the relationship between linguistic behavior and the mental process. It is interested in how mental process influence the production and expression of speech. Next, computational linguistics uses computer the technique and applies them in automatic translation and speech analysis using compara for large-scale statistical investigation and computational process of spoken and written text. Next, development linguistics is concerned with study of the acoustic of language by children, describing the stage and partners of development and explaining the typical feature and varieties. The last, anthropological linguistics, student language variation and usage in relation to culture. Emphasis is often based on the analysis of the South non-Western language. Okay, that's it from my about micro and macro. I'm sorry if I made a mistake. from my talking about this. Thank you very much for nice attention, and as I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.